Good afternoon, everyone. This is Henry, and as we get into tonight's video newsletter, I really want to try to bring the market to you in a way where I admit that, I don't know what the next moment brings, but I do think that there are some signals that you really want to be aware of, and I think we have to also honor both sides of the market. That is to say that in the short term, there could be a little bit of weakness. I want you to especially be careful with that after the October expiration. So once we get through tomorrow, the market has a way of sometimes coming untethered from the options complex that brought it into that. And it just means that we can have more volatility and bigger moves. We've already seen a good deal of that. But then what you see when you look at this visually here through our watch list columns in Thinkorswim is that all of the Mag 7s are either in a daily or in a 3-day squeeze. And these are some of the bigger time frames that I will follow for directional movement. And when I speak to having to acknowledge both sides of these, like let's take Microsoft for example. Microsoft, when we look at the daily chart, there are many reasons to think that this could fire short, or at the very least right now may require a little bit of patience. What I use to define that is the relationship to the 21 EMA, so you can see prices under that, and the relationship to the parabolic SAR. The last thing is the momentum of the histogram. So you see how this is moving from upper left to lower right? These are all cautionary pieces of the current trend, and I see ways that the daily could dip down a little bit lower. But then when you think about it from the 3-day perspective, right, this is the 3-day squeeze that is also in the mature compression, which just means that it's been consolidating this area for a while. But this pattern looks much more bullish. This is something where you have this gap that has never filled, and don't make the mistake of thinking that gaps have to fill. If anything, they are going to be more common in an index, but an individual equity can gap and just go. And this was just incessant buying that from this larger frame of view has now just been consolidating. And I think dips on the daily chart should be buys on the 3-day chart. And that's what I'm looking to guide my decisions as we get into the end of the year. So when you see that there in Google, you can understand the situation in Tesla, right? Now Tesla is just the daily squeeze. Notice here that the 3-day has already fired and is technically still a bullish signal. Then when you come into the daily chart of Tesla, see how it's doing better than the comparison to Microsoft? Because of that relationship to the moving average, I think a lot of this also has a very clean spot to define your risk against last Friday. When you had those comments from Trump and everything sold off so hard, compare the names that have recovered and are above that swing low versus those that are under it. We are above it here in Tesla. That's above that point of panic. It's above the 21 EMA. The only thing you really want to see technically to help think that the squeeze could fire long is a shift in that histogram, where right now, again, maybe could be a little bearish or may just need a little bit more time, may need that signal to shift back to being a bullish histogram. This gets under price, and then we see what the earnings numbers can bring us. But inside this, they're all kind of interesting. Nvidia is no exception to this. And then when you jump over and look at the 3-day, right now that histogram, they're all in the same thing. And that speaks to the correlation of these, right? The market basically is the Mag 7s these days. But when they're all squeezing like this, it's telling us they're all compressing, getting ready for their next big move. And while the next 2 weeks could be a little weak, at the end of that, I want to be looking to be a buyer. And that's going to be some of the strategies that we keep working on in the chat room and in the premium newsletter that I'll be doing for Simpler Trading. So if you guys want to check that out, please do come join us. Otherwise, know that these big picture signals are out there, and I'll continue to update them for you as we get into the end of the year. So good trading, and I hope to see you in the room tomorrow. Hey traders, this is Henry with simplertrading.com. I wanted to thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found it helpful. And if so, be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. If you would like to also see me putting these ideas into action and trading my own account live in front of you, be sure to sign up at simplertrading.com, and I hope to see you in the chat room sometime soon.